Alright, welcome guys. Let me just get my stuff in order. Computer science. Breakdown. Alright. Alright, so while we're filling up, ooh, there's a plane flying. Interesting. Water. Alright. Yeah. Like and share. Why did I put an exclamation mark on the end? I guess I was excited. Oh no. Hold on. Skip. Alright, who's on the inside there? Who's on? Who's on? Are you there? The layout of a computer science IA. Right, those are y'all looking for preparation for your online classes. I mean, for ComSci and IT for June. Right, all classes are always online. Upper 6 is Tuesday night, lower 6 Tuesday afternoon for ComSci, and for IT, Wednesday night is upper 6, and Thursday afternoon is for 6. The number is there. Make sure you follow on Instagram. Instagram is where you get to send messages. Sometimes you need to ask questions. You can ask the questions on Instagram. I do reply if you have questions about stuff in your IA or in your ComSci life or IT life. Right now, I didn't know computer science tonight. Probably I'll be good some to it. IT next. And YouTube live every Sunday night from 9 to 10. You could check me out here. Doing stuff to help you. Based on the topic that's chosen on a Friday afternoon. So on IG, I'll put out a post and I'll ask you what you want to do, and you let me know what you want to do. And guess what? We'll do it. So let's go into it. A ComSci IA. What does it entail? Well, Goes like this. Alright, so you're expected to choose a problem for which a software solution is appropriate, right? So when it says software solution is appropriate, it basically means that you have to make up a problem. You have to use sequence, selection, assignments, iteration, yada yada yada, and you should present the algorithms using narrative format and either a flowchart or pseudocode, which is often a problem for some children because they don't know. Some children think you have to do the flowchart and pseudocode, but it's all pseudocode. You have to implement it as a C program using arrays with no less than 5 functions and at least one file. So you could use arrays or you could use, well, structures if you want. So you have to also create a test plan to check it, right? Now, one of the things that's always kind of unclear, open with, yeah, one of the things that'll be unclear sometimes is you just hear where it says you must use narrative. So you must have narrative, and then you could have either a flowchart or pseudocode. So you must have narrative, and then you could have a flowchart or pseudocode. Now, some people rather draw the flowchart for the problem. Some people rather write the pseudocode. It depends on the problem and how easy it is or how hard it is. And then you have to write it in C, implement it, and you have to use no less than 5 functions. So you have to know how to write a function, and you have to know how to read from a file and maybe write a file. Now, they say at least one file, but usually if you read from a file, you should write it back out to a file, right? That just kind of makes sense. So, blah, 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 right, so let's see what it looks like. Right, the length of the project, it should be between 1500 and 2000 words, excluding diagrams, graphs, tables, and bibliographies. So the diagram would be like a flowchart. So a flowchart is a consider diagram. A graph, however, you're most likely not going to have a graph. You might have a table if you do a trace table, but the trace table is not required. When I get to the layout, you'll see. Teachers have to make sure the candidates will carefully lift a ComSci that well, because code could become difficult to understand if you take it from somebody. But I mean, we have some creative people out there, but I always recommend that you do it from scratch because it will help you understand better. Alright, so these are the things that they mark. These are the things that they mark. So you must have a problem definition. You must have the narrative, flowcharts, or pseudocode. So it's either this one or that one. Please don't do both because you'll be wasting your time doing both of them. Then you have the code, which is in C. Then you have the testing, which is important because the testing is a problem. And then communication of information, well, that's your 3 marks that is give you. So let's see how it's broken down here. The whole ComSci IA is 60 marks. And it's clearly outlined. And they didn't make, like with the ITIA, they really messed up with the breaking down of the marks. Hopefully they'll fix it when they change the new syllabus. But with the ComSci, it's the same thing. So you need to have a complete and accurate description of your problem. So to give a complete and accurate description of your problem, you have to say who is affected, what yeah. who is affected, what is the problem, and who needs the solution. If you say the video club having a problem with efficiency, and who needs it fixed? The customers. So a video club is having a problem with getting video blah blah blah. The customers need to fix it. You can't really mess up that format there. Like, describing the problem is not really an issue. This is where life starts to get hard. Explaining it in narrative format. Narrative is words. The words that you display must like have some sort of flow, and must also list functions. So if you're gonna list all the functions, you gotta say something like, the program will do this, blah blah blah. When the user presses 1, this will happen. When the user presses 2, this will happen. And these are the functions that your program carries out. If you do list it out and say what the program is going to do, and then what number they press, they will get whatever option, you'll have a problem. These are easy formats here for the narrative, because the narrative is basically English. You don't really have them messed up. So this is English words. Algorithms now, flowcharts or pseudocode, right? So if you do the flowchart, you must show that it has the appropriate symbols and you use the structures. So if you're doing flowchart, you have to make sure that you have your diamond, then you have your yes labeled, you have your no labeled. I don't really let students do the flowchart because I rather you do the pseudocode, because the pseudocode helps you a lot more when it comes to the C programming, because the flowchart will look nice, and sometimes it's easier to do the flowchart, but the pseudocode actually makes it better for you to code. So with the pseudocode now, you want to be able to do things like you want to be able to lay it out something like structure. If you create a structure, you should put the structure first. Then some teachers will teach prototyping. They prototype all the functions, depending on if you put in functions. Then you'll list out your structure, and then you'll write all your functions. Function 1, function 2, function 3, all the way down to function 5, right? Dot. Right. You need to have at least 5 functions, because if you don't have 5 functions, then you'll lose marks, because it says that you must have 5 functions. Up here, where did it say you must have 5 functions? Yeah, look, it says it there. 5 functions. Alright, so if you have your 5 functions, good. So now you're trying to lay out your pseudocode. So you must prototype in all the functions. Well, you don't have to prototype in pseudocode, sorry, my bad. So if you're using a structure, you lay out the structure, and you could create the area of structures one time. And at the end now, you have to do main. If you don't know what main is, well, you think you should be doing ComSci. Alright, so you code out all these, you write out all these functions, and you would say function 1 gets A, B, and array, something like that. And then you write out the stuff it does, right? Alright, and then function 2, you put the thing, gets D, D, and num, whatever. And then you write all the stuff it does. Right. Now inside the I, they don't actually say that you have to do a search, right? but the fact is you have to learn how to do a search somewhere. So it would be nice if one of your functions will do a search, because it will count as displaying excellent use of structured programming concepts. If you know how to do structured programming concepts, good. Excellent use will count as, instead of doing a search in the main, you do the search in a function. So I recommend one of your functions be a linear search. And a linear search, you need to get the array, you need to get the search item, and you need to get the size, and do a linear search. For some things, like you're searching for item ID, or you're searching for some kind of thing like that. Right, so then in the main now, the main, you could do one or two things. You could read your file here, read file, and then call functions, or you could create a function to read the file, function 6, which is a void function to read the file, and you read it into the array, or read it into the array, or read it into the array of structures. And then a must-have function would be the menu function. The menu function, you really want to just display the options and read the input and return it. So then what's going to happen now is, after you call the function, the first function you'll call is the menu function. And then you're basically going to have a whole set of ifs inside your main. So you're going to be if menu is equal to 1, then what do? Call appropriate function. And you're just going to have a whole set of ifs inside this main like crazy, because the main is basically where the logic is. So if menu equals 2, then call appropriate function, right? So you do that, and then at the end you would want to write to the file. Now this is for people who kind of, you don't have to do you don't have to do a function to read from the file or write from the file. So you don't have to do this function here to read to the file, write file. Everything will have to be in functions. In unit 2, everything had to be in functions, because you're a little smarter now. But so you could read from the file in your main, you could do this stuff, and then you could write to the file, and you wouldn't have any problems. That'll basically be what your pseudocode gonna look like when you lay it out. After you lay out that pseudocode now, you're going to have to code it, and code it will be using C programming. So you see how it says as independent units. So you have to create the 5 functions. So if you create the functions and all of them working, then you'll get a 6 marks here. If you have less than 5 functions, you're going to get like 3 or 4 marks. So easy functions to create would be a menu function, a print out all function, and then you must have some calculation. You must have some, like, you know, a search function, and then some multiplication, probably addition. Set up like a payroll you could just multiplication, addition, and return the answer. But easy functions that would be easy to create is write a menu, write a print all, write a search, write a multiply, write a add, and then your 5 functions hit, and you have all the independent units, and they cannot give you the marks. Choosing appropriate data structures now, going and make you basically have to use either arrays or structures. Or you could combine them and you could have an array of structures. Well, you should have an array anyhow. It don't matter. Like, there must be an array. So it could be a normal array, a linear array, or parallel array, sorry. So you could have one array of like ID, and then you could have a next array of like name, and the arrays match each other. So ID1 will be named Bob, ID2 will be named Pam, blah, blah. Or you could just put it all in a structure and call it struct S, however, and you could read all the variables inside the structure like that. If you're not too cool with structures, I did a video with going over structures and files, so you could check that. It should be in this playlist. Earlier, about 2 weeks ago, I did that video, so you can check the structures and arrays, right? So you must have loops, because without a loop, you're in a mess. And you must have conditional statements, which will be the if. So the ifs will be inside here, and all of this will be in our loop that says while menu is what, not equal to 999 or something. So while the menu option I get is not 999, you'll do that. Read in the file, you'll also have a loop here too. So you'll have a loop to read the file, and then write into the file, you'll also have a loop there also. So you're going to write that. Alright, and then the next important part will be programming style. So that is indentation. If your indentation horrible, we're taking away marks. If your white space in a mess, you're taking away that too. And if you don't have comments, you're taking away that. So 4 marks just for indenting white space and making sure everything looking neat. Like, you can't really lose that mark, those marks. That'll be bad. Right? So then this is where students start to lose marks like crazy. You gotta make sure the code matches the algorithm. So sometimes people try the code first and then take that code and then try to reverse it back into pseudocode. But what happens is I just forget that you use our set of terms in here now. So instead of in pseudocode, you'll put print, and then you see people forget that and they take the word from the code and they have printf. Once they see that printf there, you're losing marks because the code has to match the algorithm, but it can't be the exact same thing as the algorithm. It must, the pseudocode is supposed to be a precursor to the code, but some students just do it backwards because they rather just code it and then convert to the pseudocode. So you might end up losing some marks here because your pseudocode not matching what you actually wrote in the code. And then you have to have file manipulation, so you have to use the correct file type. Most of the times a text file is good enough for you. Like, you don't really have to do a binary file or sequential file. Text is nice, right? And then the test plan. You see this 11 marks here? Ooh, you can't play around with this 11 marks here. The test plan has to be exhaustive. So exhaustive means you have to use a text file that has stuff in it. So you can't just have a text file with a ID and a price. Like, really, and then you only have like 1, 2, 3 records. You have to create a text file that has some body. So you have to get 1, 2, 3, probably like up to 20 records, because that means your data set is exhaustive. Because with 1, 2, 3 records, you could only create as much like a few variations, but you need to be able to create variations like on the level of let me see. Let me say it's a school, right? And you have ID 001, name Bob, and you have 3 marks. So you have a biology mark, which is 50, a chemistry mark, which is 35, and a physics mark, which is 23. Right. You can't go and be like, okay, let's create a second person and call her Pam. And she has a biology mark of 51, chemistry mark of 32, and then a next mark of 21. You notice the numbers real close to each other. That's not cool. But when you have 20 different people, you want to be able to put in marks like 99, you want to put in marks like 01, you want to put in marks like 50 or 51, because you want to test your conditions a lot better. If you don't test the conditions properly, you'll end up messing up, right? So the data set has to be big. So your input file has to be nice and large and be able to go through stuff. Then the test results now, you have to test for normal input, which means you have to test to see if you read data that is correct, will it work? Correct data is like, is the person supposed to put in 1, does it work? If they put in 2, does it work? If they put in 3, doesn't work. All right, good. Extreme input is like, let's say our test mark of the possible values for your test marks will be 0 to 100, and a person gets 99. That is considered extreme. If you get 99, the program is supposed to still work by giving you the correct results. And then now, erroneous input will be, instead of putting 0 to 100, the person puts in the letter Q. Then, like example, text when a number is required, you're supposed to have an error message. So if somebody puts in a mark or the file has a number or has a letter instead of a number, it's supposed to say error when reading the file or something like that. Right? So there's our 5 marks here just for test results. You can't mess that up. So you have to make sure that you have normal inputs, which will be things that will give the correct answer. Then you have to have extreme inputs, which will be check your range of things that you're supposed to accept and try to put the lowest number and the highest number, and it should still calculate it. And wrong inputs, which should have an error message. Plenty children just leave out the error message. And then overall presentation, 3 marks, so that's cake. Take that, that's yours. And then communication, grammar. Right, so now we'll talk about grammar a little bit. If you're using words like, input, value, syntax, logic, variables, you want to be able to write the IA and use words that are computer-based jargon. So you're trying to avoid words like get and put in and work out. You have to use words like, calculate. Put in would be like input. Get would be like receive. And try to make your jargon look, look cool, because then you'll mess it up. Alright, so that's Unit 1 ComSci. Let's take a look at Unit 2 ComSci. Right, so each candidate is supposed to choose a problem for which a software solution exists and then develop the software using software engineering techniques. Now, where a software solution exists, this is a little sore point here because we're not too sure. You could use your old IA because that's a software solution, it exists, and now you want to develop it using software engineering, because the upper 6 IA, the Unit 2 IA, is expected to demonstrate how you analyze the software and make it better. So you have to now take problem you had before. Most of the times, your previous IA should meet the specifications, or if you want and you go and find somewhere that has an actual system, and then you could take it. So all this is the explanation. Same 1500 or 1200 words, but don't worry too much about that. It's a code that really matter. And let me get open now. Computer science. Let's get the pages. Whoa. So I need to get to the page with the IA. Yeah, found it. Alright. That's unit 1. This is unit 2. Okay, right. So what's unit 2 now, right? You need to have specification of requirements. So this is going to have the, let's call this word again by functional and non-functional. Functional stuff would be the things the user interact with, so like menu, user interface, menu stuff, so like menu options 1, 2, 3. These are the things that the user are going to do. Anything that the user could do is a functional requirement. Non-functional would be like you sorting, searching, your control structures. All those things are non-functional, so they really need anything like that. Design specification, this is going to be a DFT and a ERD, but this DFT and ERD is pain. Coding and testing, well, it's basically code, and then the communication information will be good. So let's go through what it's going to look like. Definition of problem, 5 marks. Well, just like how the unit 1 IA was, you need to define the problem properly, and you could just go back to like minute 10 to see that. Techniques and analysis used, you're going to have to do a questionnaire, or you might do an observation, or you might do review of documents. The whole point of doing these questionnaires, observation, review of documents is you're trying to figure out how the system actually works right now, and based on how the system works, you're going to determine what needs to be done. Then you're going to have to do data flow diagrams and ER diagrams. There's a whole 9 marks here, and you don't want to mess up that. So I do a context level diagram, which is 3 marks. This is cake. This is what comes in the process, and then what you get out, and whoever the external entities are that you get any stuff. Please don't mess up that. Right? So the data flow diagram is level 1 diagram, is easy. This is the context level diagram is easy. You really shouldn't be having too much problem with your context level diagram. The level 1 diagram now, which is our next 3 marks, this one has caused some problems for students because you have to now break down this into one big complex set of data stores, processes, a next process, a next data store, a next external entity, a next external entity, and it will just keep going all over. But like, I find for 3 marks, this you just have to do real work to get our level 1 diagram to work. But that's okay. Good thing is it's 3 marks. So if you're messing it up or you're not doing it too well, You ain't gonna die too much. ARD diagram, this is cake again, because all you're doing is you're taking all your variables and your structures, and you're creating just some, like if you create a structure and the structure has an ID and a number, good, and you say this person has many classes and many classes and blah blah. Yeah, the diagram not really gonna get too much problems. The data flow diagram will give you more problems than the other. But look at this: functional requirements and non-functional requirements. 6 marks, 6 whole marks. Functional requirements, just you writing down what the user is going to see. So the user is going to get option 1, which is print, option 2, which is read, option 3, which is print again, option 4, which is input. Anything the user has to do to interact with his computer, with this program, it's a functional requirement, meaning it must be a function that the user could use. Non-functional requirements are next 3 marks now. More cake. This is a search. This is a what's called this word? A sort. It is a read file. All the things that you do in the background that the that the user not going to worry about. This is what the non-functional requirements are. So the programmer deals with the non-functional, and the user deals with the functional. That's 6 marks that you might end up messing up because you just didn't write it properly. Then the design specification. 4 marks. This is where you do a kind of hierarchy layout, which is you draw a diagram of all the things that they have to choose from, and when they choose something, the other options that they're going to get because of it. So it's kind of like a layout of the menus. So the menu will be menu, and then if they choose option 1, they will get this, and then if they choose option 1 A, they will get that, or they will get that. So when they get the menu and they have option 1 and they have option 2, it just kind of laying out what it will look like. And each process must be inside there. Same thing, the interface design, appropriate justification. That's kind of weird, but you're just basically saying, well, we chose this that way. Report design, when you do the when you print out the stuff for them, are you printing it out in a text file? Are you printing it out to the screen? You're writing a kind of paragraph to let them know, well, this is how I want to do the reports for them to see. Then the algorithm design, what you got a whole set of marks in unit 1 for, now it's just 3 marks, which is you writing down what the algorithm going to look like. If you use a flowchart, you use a flowchart, but more than likely you're going to have to write it in pseudocode. Using appropriate data structures, well, that's just using arrays or structures. More than likely you're going to have to use structures to get that to work. Right? And then coding and testing. So before, coding used to take a lot of marks, but now you're checking for functionality of your code. It must have documentation, error trapping, correct output, usability, and reporting. So this is like your whole unit 1 IA here in 15 in this part. So can you code properly? Good. Do you have documentation? Do you have errors and all those things? So this is like unit 1 in 5 marks. Responding to design. Did you design it so that when you go to menu 1, you get to menu 1A, and menu 1A could lead you to menu 1.1A part 1, whatever. That's just basically a user interface. Please make sure your menus are good. So if you have a menu calling another menu, calling another function, cool. And then the test plan, which you got, I think 10 marks in the 10 or 15 marks in unit 1. Well, test plan inside here is that exhaustive data set. So you're testing good, input, high and low input, and then you're testing wrong input. Once you put those in, you're in a gear. And then the last easy marks is communication. So this is grammar. Use the jargon. Use syntax. Syntax is always a nice word to say. Syntax. Use passing. I can probably might use pass. Use structure. Use the word array. Try to stay away from words like get and put in and all that stuff. Right, so what you're gonna realize in your ComSci, you would realize that is a lot more writing. The actual code part is 15 out of the 60. So if you could code, that's nice, but Unit 2 ComSci is not checking to see if you could code. Unit 2 ComSci is checking to see if you can design. So 14 marks is on your design. 6 marks for functional and non-functional. All this is words, eh? This is not like thing. And then you have 9 marks for your diagram. Well, problem definition, you have that all the way. So 9 and 6 is 15. 15 and 14, 29. Yeah, so half of your I, 29 out of 60 is design. The other stuff is code. So your code is 15 out of 60. Your code is only 1/4 of the thing. So 15 out of 60 is code. And then the next 15 will be like problem definition and words. So you see this 15 out of 60 here, using the correct words, you can't mess up that. 15 out of 60 here, you can't mess up your code, meaning you should be able to code. If you got your unit 1 IA, you should be able to code it. But you see this design thing here, the diagrams and writing the words and laying it out properly and all that kind of stuff. This is where the bad boy is in unit 2. So that's the ComSci and unit 1 and unit 2 layout of the IA. If you have questions, let me know. If not, you want to prepare for ComSci and you want to do some, well, right now all ComSci classes doing ComSci doing past papers. Yeah, we're on past papers. Every class is doing 2 modules, 2 or 3 depending on how fast we get through. And IT doing past papers too, because without past papers, Cape will look you up real bad. Alright, YouTube live every Sunday night. Follow on Instagram at makeITsimpleTT. The topic that I do on the Sunday night live, which is right now, is determined by you. So whatever all you ask for, I will do it on a Sunday night in an hour from 9 to 10. So last Friday, I threw it out where I said if I'll do the ComSci IA layout, and people said yes. So we just laid out the ComSci IA. If you're good at that, thumbs up in the chat, and I shall be going to sleep now. Any questions? Leave it in the comments. I'll try to answer them whenever I can. All right, so we're good. Like, share, and thank you very much.